My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host of Anti-Media Radio on UCY.TV.
Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? And wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
I want to get the language right. The government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
The truth will set you free. May 17th, 2016. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. Late breaking from your future Master-in-Chief, President Daddy, via Twitter. I look so forward to debating crooked Hillary Clinton! Exclamation point. Democrat primaries are rigged. Email investigation rigged. So it's time to get it on. Enjoy the theater, ladies and gentlemen, because that's exactly what this is. It's a big show. We're going back into Iraq, so you're aware. We are right now, currently, transitioning to go back into full-scale war in Iraq. They don't talk about that on the news. What you do get is the theater. You get the show. You get the main event. Andre and Hulk, WrestleMania 3. Every day in your living room, narrated by Anderson Cooper. What a shame. I want to bring on our co-host right now, Kevin Knight. Kevin, what's up?
Hey, man, not too much. Trying to follow up on the election results in Kentucky.
Yeah, so I heard, okay, there was like, 100 votes, 1,000 votes. I heard...
I guess, depends on who you ask. If you just simply Google it, because none of us are actually in Kentucky seeing this live. So what more do we have besides
I actually have
Google?
some people I follow. Hold on.
I'd be curious to see what they're saying, because if you, depending on who you ask, here in the last hour, we've had numerous results. Sanders was apparently up by a good bit. I saw 1,000 votes ahead at one point. Here in the last 30 minutes it's gone, I've seen reports of clue close to call. Seen reports of Sanders is going to win. Sanders takes it, but then Big Daddy already said that the polls are rigged. So apparently he's probably got more info on this than we do.
Yeah, it looks like Oregon is a victory for Bernie, but that's no shock at all. But Kentucky. When you really think about the state of Kentucky, though, how conservative they are, and you look at how Hillary swept through the South and just destroyed Bernie in the South. And we're talking about a state that has elected Mitch McConnell for years. And then now Rand Paul. So, I think that that may be more of a Bernie vote, though.
I kind of thought Bernie would have a little more. At
Yeah.
least, she's really pissed some Southerners off. She's really pissed some Southerners off, especially with her comments. What was it about coal country and shut down a lot of coal jobs?
Yeah, but the people in the South hated her anyway.
Oh, they're not a fan whatsoever.
Who likes her? I still don't know who likes her. Everyone.
Never met a real person that did.
Yeah, everybody at the most tolerates her. But again, it's the theater and the show. And I get wrapped up in it. We're talking about something right now that is one of the most historical events of our life. And I get it. Like, I'll be the first to tell everyone it's a distraction. But it's also how you gauge where the people are at in our country. What are the people here willing to follow? What are they willing to get behind? Hillary Clinton is so popular of a politician. She's so loved. She's getting, quote unquote, not beat by a 74-year-old socialist.
Bingo.
Okay? Like, people hate this woman. Hate her. So, I don't know.
I mean, it really is. It sets a precedence. When's the last time that, we've seen Donald Trump, who's, say what you will about him being a corrupt, a flip-flopper, say what you will, but he's not been a politician. He may have tossed a little bit of money, a little bit of shade towards some politicians, but he's not actually been a politician in his life. And yet we've got Bernie Sanders, who's been there for 20 years, versus Hillary Clinton, who the Clintons have been really have been an influence in every election, as long as I'm sure almost you and I have been alive. So, yeah, big time. Who would have thought that Sanders would have even given the Clinton machine a run for their money? Then again, we certainly didn't foresee Barack Obama taking down the Clinton machine, and he was able to do it.
I don't think a lot of people expected it.
No, especially, and I didn't expect it twice.
I
didn't expect a re-election. Excuse me.
Bernie's not going to beat her, though. He's not, unless something happens. With the emails.
It would really take a miracle at this time.
Either the emails or something happens to Bill because he's sick and she has an excuse to get out.
That's not coming. She's fought this hard. If she would wobble.
No, but that would give her an easy out. That's what I'm saying. If she had to get out behind the scenes, I think she could say Bill's sick and use that as a political.
That in the picture that we saw the other day.
She's a loving wife.
Yeah, she
right, and she can get out.
Standing by Bill after all these years.
After all these years. I tell you what, I want to go ahead right now and bring on wonderful journalist for theantimedia.org, Miss Claire Burnish. Claire, what's going on?
Not much. What's up?
Just sitting here discussing the stories of the day. There is a lot going on in the world. Haven't even gotten to any of the top stories. I tell you real quick, I'm going to just go ahead and just run down the headlines real fast, and then we can jump into whatever. Anti-media. We found the preview of the 28 redacted pages, and it is a 9/11 game changer. Oops, CIA accidentally destroyed its only copy of Senate torture report. Woman's obituary says she died so she wouldn't have to vote for Trump or Clinton. That's kind of a sad story, but kind of funny as well. Iran orders Hezbollah to target Saudi Arabia. That's really interesting. We'll get into that. If not in the first hour, definitely into the second hour. And then they hired the world's first robot lawyer, which I fell kind of into a rabbit hole researching the law firm that hired the robot lawyer Ross. That's really kind of creepy. The guy that started it was the Secretary of War in World War But yeah, that's just kind of only where it begins. Then the Philippines have elected their own Donald Trump. And as you would expect, the results are terrifying. And this U.S. Army chaplain just stood up to the American empire. You can check all the stories out on the antimedia.org. They're up on the front page right now. And also, real quick, you can listen to us at ucy.tv/TAMR or the antimedia.org/radio every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And catch all of our replays on YouTube by searching for Anti-Media Radio. Okay, Claire, Kevin, ran down the top stories, kind of ran through everything. A lot going on. To me, there's just so much going on. It's all kind of swimming around in my head here. What between the two of y'all stands out the most? What's the most important story of the day?
I really think this kind of preview of the 28 pages deserves some attention.
Yes. That's what I was going to say as well, man. Perfect.
I mean, the documents appear as if they were released perhaps a while back.
2015, it looked like they were, unclassified?
Yeah, it's as if they were unclassified perhaps a year ago. It's not entirely clear. The New York Times published the documents today, but when you kind of hover on the browser search, it looks like it was 2015 when they were released, so it's not entirely clear, and they did not give much information with them. But they're pertinent nonetheless, and these documents show actually some rather stunning revelations about the investigation into 9/11, including, and in particular, the 28 pages, because what they seem to evidence are questions, the questions that would be pertinent to the 28 pages that are redacted and that are missing, quote unquote. And there are a number of revelations in this particular document, including that the White House and the FBI basically prevented testimony from an informant being disclosed to the inquiry. So, I mean, and that's just one aspect. I mean, there are obvious connections here to the Saudi Arabian government and everything else, and these are things that have been intimated in recent days, and it seems to be evidenced right here. So this is actually kind of a big deal.
Okay, wait. I have a question. You use these words like revelations and shocking. Were you surprised? Like, was any part of that you were just like, oh, I don't believe it? Or was it just like, can we at least talk about it in public now? I mean, because it's stuff we've known for years.
Yeah, it is, and I agree. I mean, it wasn't like thoroughly shocking, but at the same time, it was quite stunning. I mean, there was information in this one document that,
there's the sun. I've been telling people it's been there for years. They're finally pointing up and seeing it. Good, going back inside now. That's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm just jaded, but
the fact it was dropped, even this. I mean, this report is not the 28 pages, but a lot of people are. You can really, without any kind of argument, really kind of tell exactly, get a preview of what we're going to see. Now, we may understand that.
Okay, but what you need to remember, too, is what the 28 pages are. They're not actually a part of the 9/11 Commission report. But
that's the point, though.
What they are a collection, too, all through it is talking about Saudi Arabia. So it's not like there's no mention of Saudi Arabia, then there's just 28 pages exclusive to Saudi Arabia. They're mentioned throughout the entire report.
Yes, okay, that's fine, yes. But the point of this particular document this document appears to show, and the New York Times does not do anything, and neither does the National Archives to kind of disclose exactly what it is that this document shows. What it appears to show is the questions posed for the portion of the 28 redacted pages that we have yet to see. So on that note, there are questions involving not only Saudi Arabian governmental officials, but also U.S. officials and what they have done to obfuscate the inquiry. For example, and I think this was probably the most eye-opening one single sentence that I found, there are a number of questions asked in this document, and one of them is, why did the FBI, Department of Justice, and White House refuse to allow the joint inquiry to interview or depose the informant? And, you know, regardless of what we know about the informant, to see that the FBI, the DOJ, and the White House refused to even allow the inquiry to question this subject, that's a huge, huge deal.
Okay, I want to throw this idea out there. Not saying that, okay, yeah, this is how it is, but because Saudi Arabia is mentioned so many times, these 28 pages aren't exclusive to them. I have heard it be suggested it could be possible that these 28 pages may mention Israel. I have no idea if that's true or not. What do you think that's a possibility that if not Israel, another outside agent that's not right now in the mainstream? Because right now everything is focused on Saudi Arabia.
Yes, of course it's possible. Of course it's possible. But from what these questions pose, and this looks like the questions prior to the inquiry. I mean, these questions look as if it appears as if this document was the precursor for the investigation. And they posed a number of questions that are very, very incredibly pertinent to Saudi Arabia's and also the U.S. involvement in 9/11. So this is an incredibly important document. I'm not saying that Israel is not involved in any way or anything like that. I'm just saying it does not appear like that is the most pertinent issue in their inquiry. That being said, it's not as if that we're not perhaps a side inquiry.
I'm just throwing out the hypothetical of different theories that are out there. They could be.
Well, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
But we do know that we've had members of Congress who have been actually allowed to see these papers in secret, who have been allowed to, who's really were not supposed to have even spoke about it to our understanding whatsoever, but have gone on record and kind of alluded to very loosely. But one country that they continue to bring up every time is Saudi Arabia. I'm kind of of the belief that if Israel had been in this, had been mentioned in this, that we would not probably even see the light of the day with the 28 pages, even with a discussion.
I do agree with that.
And besides the fact, also, from my understanding, Israel actually had sent notification to the White House, at least to some degree, and let them know that the terror attacks were possibly pending. And that could be a faction of
supposedly Iraq was trying to help them too.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, there's other countries that have said this, but it seems like the people that know, what little bit we even know, has been really, at least from what I understand, has been from a lot of several congressmen, and it seems like Saudi Arabia seems to be the key financier of apparently what we're looking at.
At least the money ran through Saudi Arabia.
Well, at first we weren't sure, and Claire, you may have different sources.
Or it could have originated there. I don't know.
Well, one of the 9/11 Commission members, who was actually a member of the Commission report, investigator John Lehman, has now said that six Saudi officials are now tied to the hijackers. Now, whether or not Claire, I don't know if that's what you've got or what you've seen, but on your end, what are we seeing? Are we seeing is Saudi officials actually named in this?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, Lehman in particular, he was a member of the 9/11 Commission, but he uses very extremely particular language when he discusses what was found in the documents, like what he's actually seen. And what he says is basically no evidence that Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded the organization that basically led up to the attack. So what he's basically doing is obfuscating the fact that Saudi Arabia was involved, like absolutely for sure. The investigation found it. Evidence in even this document shows it. I mean, there are connections exactly to the government, but it's not as if the government as a body approved of or aided this particular terror attack. And I think that is the most important, it's actually one of the most important points that he makes. He's basically saying that Saudi Arabia was involved, but it was not an official business. And, he kind of makes a scapegoat by using language like that is so particular that it has to be taken at point.
Okay, wait. Fair enough. I'll take that argument, because here's my rebuttal to that. Okay, if there's all these connections to Saudi Arabia, even though it's not a direct connection to the established government, why were the Bushes, and Obama for that matter, palling around with the Saudis, especially the Bushes, though? If there was any involvement, like at all, like this isn't stuff, I think so many Americans are viewing this like, we're just finding all this stuff out. Oh, this is crazy. No, everybody's known this for a long, long time. This is no secret. This is no big revelation. And yet, they were just open about how their relationship and how great Saudi Arabia was, while they behead anybody they want and do whatever they want.
I mean, that's kind of my ultimate point here. I mean, there are 47 pages in this particular document that was revealed, all right? And this one particular question that it asks, why did the FBI, Department of Justice, and White House refuse to allow the joint inquiry to interview or depose the informant? It implies that there was an extreme cover-up, a shielding of perhaps one of the only people who could give insight into this attack. And to implicate the White House and the Department of Justice and the FBI as covering up that particular fact is actually an enormous point. This is a huge point, and it should not be just kind of like let go for, hey, Saudi Arabia did this or the U.S. did this. This is a very large point. And with all the other implications in this document that, these Saudi officials who are either loosely or directly involved in the government, although not acting as the government, are involved, this makes the point. This shows that there was not only complicity on the part of the Saudis, but perhaps on the part of the U.S. as well.
Okay,
This should not be overlooked.
And so if I can kind of paint this picture, so what it's looking like, it's going to point towards, you think, is, okay, once all this information comes out, it's basically going to be the equivalent of, okay, all the people that are backing the political candidates here, okay? Whoever, it's the guy from Florida funding Romney and the other guy from Florida funding Romney, and then Rubio, and the list goes on and on. It's the Saudi equivalent of that. It's the rich, powerful people in Saudi Arabia that are not elected officials, that are in the royal family, connected to the royal family. And they're the ones, this is where it was funneled through. What it appears, what we think the 28 pages are going to say. Is that not right, Claire?
Yes. I think that what is being lost in targeting the Saudis being involved, because I think absolutely, after looking at this document, after reading every word of 47 pages in this one document, I think that what is being lost for blaming the Saudis is the U.S. involvement. It's whether the U.S. knew in advance, which it actually appears in this document. If you go and follow the links on this particular article, you will see like what I'm talking about. But I think that the implications are that perhaps the U.S. discovered that the Saudis were involved in a very extreme way and then either covered up or knew in advance, and that kind of changes the narrative in a very large way. I mean, this is not, and like I've heard, of course, all the conspiracy theories where it's like the Saudis did this and the Israelis did this and this and that and the other thing. This document, even the questions that it poses, because it's basically just an outline, but even the very basic questions that it poses seem to posit that Saudi Arabia had a hand in the attacks, and the U.S. knew about it, or at least theorized about it ahead of time, found out about it afterwards, and tried to cover up that involvement. That's what it looks like to me from this. And if you look at the reactions from the politicians who have read those redacted 28 pages, then you will see why their reaction is so shocking, and my theory on that makes sense in their reaction.
I tell you what, I want to go ahead and jump to a caller now. Area code 217. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Hey, just call me Road. I'm calling from Montana.
How you doing?
Good. Hey, listen, you know what? I was just listening to your show here, and the thing is, Saudi already agreed to giving Israel a large part of their land for the greater cause of Israel. They've already done that.
Well, did you hear?
They ain't made it law yet, but
did you hear that?
But it's already in the works.
Did you hear that Iran ordered Hezbollah to turn their focus from Israel on to Saudi Arabia now?
Can you repeat that? I can't hardly hear you.
Iran is focusing their attention basically through political means onto Saudi Arabia now as opposed to Israel.
Kind of turning.
Well, the thing is,
right,
the whole scene is on Saudi Arabia and Israel right now, and what they're doing in the Middle East. I mean, that's the end line right there. I mean,
what do you say?
You can't go no deeper than that on the issue, on the topic.
When you say Saudi Arabia is kind of giving over some control to Israel, is that Israel controlling some of what used to belong to Saudi Arabia, or is that?
Israel is controlling the whole Middle East because they want the Middle East, and Saudi Arabia is giving it to them.
To the Israelis?
To Israel, yes, sir, yeah.
Well, it's hard to argue that each country doesn't definitely have some of their own forces. We've seen whether Saudi Arabia is making friends or bedfellows with Israel and Saudi Arabia, Syria. Seems like every country has got some of their own little factions that seem to be kind of crossing borders in places that we all would kind of see and make us all kind of go, what's with these new ties that they seem to be making.
That's it. And thanks so much to the caller from Montana for calling. It looks like we got dropped there. But, I don't, at the end of the day, I don't, maybe I'm just that, whatever, and just negative about everything. But it's just like, and. I'm glad that it's coming out. Don't get me wrong. And it needs to. But to me, it's just like, now that it's out, why hasn't everybody just jumped up and started going, what happened? Wait, what? Enough time has passed.
Yeah, really. It's been, how long has it been now? 15 years?
It really hasn't been that long. It's been long enough for people to go to sleep on it.
I mean, we've got people over there fighting who when this war actually started, it was kind of after, with 9/11, we've got people over there fighting that were little kids when this actually happened that really have and I've heard this actually from a friend of mine when he came back from the military, and he was explaining that, that he had basically found out that he had gone under basically false pretenses, which is kind of what Thomas Massey says about what the U.S. what kind of the new position the U.S. is in about any kind of future wars that we would be to enter if we could only see what was in these 28 pages and this kind of information that we're discussing. Whether or not we should really actually go into future wars and at least do so under much different pretenses than what we have gone into Afghanistan and Iraq.
That's what I was trying to convey in this. I mean, we don't know, obviously, what's actually in those pages, but the people who have actually viewed it and who are telling us that it is a game changer, the information in those 28 redacted pages is so, fundamentally ground-changing, it will change the entire narrative. And even if just looking at the documents that we found, just the questions that they pose and the scant information that they also kind of project in those questions, it is a game changer. Just those minor points. This is a game changer. Those 28 pages will fundamentally, wipe out everything that it is that we know. I can tell just by the intimations they make and the questions they ask and the tone in which they ask them and the language that they use. Because when you're talking about the government, the language they use is extremely important. Every single detail is important.
How do you interpret the fact that the Senate just passed that the families of 9/11 victims are going to be able to sue Saudi Arabia, but the White House is strongly indicating that, we're not doing that?
Yeah, you cannot possibly think that this is coincidental. The fact that the New York Times kind of republished or published this document at the same time on the same day that this bill passed the Senate.
Yeah, I mean, this is all interwoven.
Yeah, it's orchestrated. I mean, this is an orchestrated event. These things are happening for a reason, and one of those reasons is that the oil price is dropping around the world. Where countries are moving, the BRICS countries are moving away from the petrodollar. All of these things are happening in conjunction with one another, and you can't take any of them separately, completely separately. They act as their own kind of events. The document being released, the 28 pages, the petrodollar falling. You see these things as individual events, but at the same time, they all act together, and you have to look at the big picture to understand all of it.
Together, but I don't believe that. I mean, it is possible. I don't believe that the New York Times publishing those pages, considering that they have been declassified since 2015. They just had somebody that was Johnny on the spot at the New York Times.
Yeah, exactly.
That Saudi Arabia was in the news and just republished those documents. I mean, it wasn't anything probably bigger than that. I don't think it was part of some grand, mythical scheme here.
Well, it's a scheme because you're looking at this legislation being passed, or at least being passed the Senate, and you're looking at, the transparency for the families of 9/11 victims and all of this other stuff going on in the news with Trump bringing up the 28 pages. All of this is resurfacing right now for a reason. And we're making moves against Saudi Arabia because there's been increasing outrage against the human rights abuses imposed by Saudi Arabia and everything else. With the petrodollar also falling, we have to look at the bigger picture here. It's not one thing or another. It's not like the 28 pages kind of resurfaced on their own. There's a reason all of this is making the news right now.
You mentioned, Claire, a minute ago about the words that were being used by the government. Thomas Massey and of course, Rand Paul and a couple others. Did you, when you've listened to them speak, I don't know if I can only imagine that I hope at least other people get the same idea. I've listened to countless people speak on behalf of the so-called government that have spoken on behalf of this cause and this cause. Here's
a question. Hold on. Why do we have Congress people like Thomas Massey, even Rand Paul has talked about it, numerous other people have mentioned the 28 pages elected officials. And supposedly what we're being told is 60 Minutes ran a story about the 28 pages, so the White House responded.
It finally...
Oh, my gosh. Really?
It finally took that to do it, huh?
Yeah, that's what it was. Thanks. Man. What do people think? We just woke up yesterday?
Well, that's a good
Born?
point.
Whatever stupid phrase
Well,
is.
the Saudis answered right back after that. About the...
oh, yeah. They're like...
Were they answering?
We'll pull it.
Were they answering to the 60 Minutes claim, or were they answering to something else they knew behind the scenes? Which
something is going on, and I'm telling you, it all in the involvement of Saudi Arabia saying they are trying to transition their economy away from oil. That has something to do with this. I don't know what it has to do with.
Crazy time.
I'll tell you. For one thing, what it has to do with. This is the sign of a dying empire. The American petrodollar empire is dying. It is on its last legs. We look at wait. You look at how it's attacking Saudi Arabia. It's finally ready. I mean, like, how many years after the attacks actually happened? We're finally ready to actually implicate Saudi Arabia in this attack. We're also involved in the coup in Brazil. And in Venezuela, I mean, we have our hands in everything, and what we have our hands in are the last dying parts of the petrodollar. That is where this comes in. That is why this is so pertinent right now.
Tell us about it. 60 Minutes has to tell us. If we look, that's how things work in this country, right? The 28 pages, we've had all that information for all these years, but oh, thank the Lord. 60 Minutes came along and decided to cut a special. Problems solved. Sean Hannity's waving the flag now. We got to find out what's in the pages. A year before, this guy's like, you're a lunatic. You're an anti-American.
Yeah, you see the narrative now?
What do people like? It's insane. It's insane.
The level of propaganda in this country is on par, if not more pervasive than it was in Nazi Germany. And, I mean, I can prove that to anybody who wants to see it. I can prove that. How can you not see that policy is being perpetuated by propaganda? This government is like, it's so far gone. It's the things that this government, the U.S. government does, are so preposterous in so many arenas all around the world. Everybody sees it for what it is, but people still cling to that patriotic hope that we are somehow doing good in the world, and it is bullshit.
Ever wake up one day and realize and start to think maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the fence? Really, I mean, that's what it seems like sometimes, that you're the only, not you're the only sane person, but being around like-minded individuals. Anti-Media's got 10 different articles up that you can read that make you just wonder, is this supposedly the United States that it's certainly not the United States that you were told about when you were a kid. When you were a kid, and we talk about other dictator's countries where a free media and a free establishment still exists, but how much worse will we are compared? And I mean, not we, the American government, to think that the things that we're being told. Look what we're talking about. Who would have thought we'd be talking about the U.S. government covering up financiers of the 9/11 attacks?
I never thought it would happen. 15
years later, did anybody think we'd be talking about that? That the New York Times would be running articles at least alluding to that?
No.
No, we need to be talking about this, though. I mean, this is...
Oh, no, certainly.
The whole narrative, everything that is going on right now, this is like, we are at that point, and I have actually written about this, about global revolution. Like, we're at that tipping point. We stand at the edge right now if we do not examine our past and examine history instead of just saying, oh, well, history repeats itself. if we don't examine why it is that history repeats itself, because we're a part of that. We make it happen because we refuse to ignore history. If we don't examine that right now, we are going to fall into the same trap, the same failures that we always fall into. This is such an incredibly crucial moment, and I don't think that people realize when they kind of obfuscate the issue by fighting about Trump versus Hillary versus Bernie. It does not matter. The point is that the larger picture, it is so important that we look at the world picture and where everything is moving towards, authoritarianism and totalitarianism and fascism. Look around the world. Look at Brazil. Look at Venezuela. Look at the U.S. Look at, Europe. Look at the increasing powers of the surveillance state and Big Brother and all of these other things. If you look at how the world is moving, the people have this chance right now, and this is it. If the people don't take this chance to kind of subvert the government and to take their power back, that will be it. That's it. That's like the last chance that we have. And you see the evidence in what has happened, like in this document about 9/11. You see the government involvement, and you see how the government does not care about the people one iota. If we can work on that together and kind of get over our differences, we can actually make a difference. And it's sad, and it's telling that instead we choose to fight amongst ourselves about details instead of rising up against these powers that all they want to do is thwart us. All they want to do is crush us down and, just eliminate dissent. If we can stop that, then we have a chance. If we choose not to do that, we're all doomed. And that's all there is to it.
Go to a caller right now, area code 361. Thank you for calling Anti Media Radio. This is your host, SM Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Hey, guys. My name is Michael. I'm from South Texas. I called you guys a while back with, the thing about Ted Cruz and Oswald and shut it down and all that real quick. You guys are, on some really interesting topics, and probably, in the end, what is the most reaching and pertinent thing to our nation. It's like everything that set us on the road to where we're at now, and it's the 9/11 report and the 28 pages and whether or not there was Israeli involvement or not. Because that's wouldn't that really shake up the paradigm if it comes out that there were dancing Israelis and they were Israeli military, and we continue to give them $5 billion a year, and we decimated Iraq and Afghanistan over it.
I've always, and whether it's true, I don't know, but I've always, given the evidence in front of me, put together that Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States have a very, very, very close allegiance, should you say.
Well, even in their own statements, right after 9/11 happened, everybody could, number one, Ehud Barak comes out and says, it was bin Laden, within 20 minutes of it happening. And Netanyahu gives a speech, within 3 days, saying that this is very, very good. This turned out to be very, very good and a fortunate event for Israel. This benefits Israel greatly. And
I don't think anybody can argue that. It did.
And then, the story of the dancing Israelis is true. The NYPD did arrest the only 5 people that day that were arrested for anything in connection with that were Israelis that were, military. And then that's kind of crazy.
It is. And, and here's, I think this is one thing that's presented to us. I think whether it's stories that start organic or if it's stories thrown out by the government intentionally, which happens all the time, false narrative.
But is it just thrown out by just the government, or is it in conjunction with the media? Because if you'll remember, right after 9/11, there was very scant coverage of the dancing Israelis, but there was lots of coverage of the supposed Palestinians that were celebrating in the street. And, it took people like a couple days to realize that, why are they're on the other side of the world. If they're celebrating in the streets, it should be nighttime. These are all daytime videos. They use stock footage and made up a story, and that became the headline grabber. And, the 5 Israeli military agents that were filming and dancing were, celebrating were, they were actually sent back to Israel, no charges filed.
But, I wasn't there, and I haven't seen the video of it. I've heard the story. I know the story. Is it true? I don't know. I think so much is thrown out there. I think it's
well, I mean, there's NYPD police records for it.
Yeah, there's actually.
Well, I know the arrest happened. Yes.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've listened to it, and I'll be honest with you, I wish I could recall it now. But I know that the cop in question actually gave an interview, and I believe it's his last interview that he gave, and he made it known that it would be his last. And he covered that subject, and I'll be honest with you, I can't remember. It's been a couple of, it's been probably 2 or 3 years ago, I think, since he gave this interview. But yeah, that account is there. There's been definitely, and who knows? I mean, it would not surprise me one bit if we found an account of you mentioned a minute ago, another foreign entity besides Saudi Arabia, mentioned in the paperwork. It would not surprise.
Well, I mean, look at what's going on right now. Saudi Arabia has pretty much said that they're going to seek out nuclear power, and Israel's fine with that. But, Iran has been 23 years away from 26 months away from a nuclear bomb for 23 years, and that's completely unacceptable. But Saudi Arabia, who's, what's the beheading number at? Like last I heard you say it was like 92.
Oh, yeah. God.
Yeah, it was.
It's probably been 3 since we've been on the air.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm going to look it up.
So I mean, it's fine if Saudi Arabia gets a bomb, and honestly, this really touches on a pertinent issue for the day, but it's almost something that you can't touch because it becomes the third rail of everything. If a politician touches on the Israeli issue, and I guess it's kind of hard to separate the Israeli issue from a Jewish media control issue, since they're so tightly intertwined, because that's where the propaganda comes from. And you can't say that without sounding like, oh my God, he just said Jew. Look at that. Well, you know who else said Jew? Hitler. That's it. This guy's bad. But it's what's going on.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to argue that Donald Trump, who we just saw, he's recently taken a stab at listening to the two-state solution with Israel and Palestine, and we'll see how I'll be interested to see how he handles that line and walks that line. But yeah, it's hard not to argue that there's a bias towards a lot of different organizations. They've all got their money and their hands in it for sure.
Thank you so much for the call. I want to go ahead and take area code 239. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Hey, I'm calling from Fort Myers, Florida. My name's Weston. How's it going?
Doing good, man.
What's up, bro?
How's it going? What's it called? I'm trying to tune in right now. I'm having trouble with it, but thanks for accepting my call. I'm trying to get it tuned in right now, but I'm going to try to call back later because I need to try to get to where I can listen to you guys, but thanks.
Cool, man. And you can, just to remind everybody, you can check it out on ucy.tv/TAMR, or you can go to the antimedia.org/radio, and then you can catch all the replays on YouTube as well. But thank you so much for the call and for listening in. I think you can go down that rabbit hole of Israel and Saudi Arabia all day long.
And it's probably not just those two countries. But which one's
worse?
There
is some connection between them. There is.
What is, not that they should be left out, but what's worse? The fact that two countries like that would choose to carry out something like this in the United States, or that the taxpaying, the entity that we pay taxes to uphold basically covered it up and allowed it, at least, if did not allowed it, at least covered it up, and it continues to do so.
I will say this, okay. If hypothetically, if there was any Israeli anything to do with it, my belief would be it would be super duper compartmentalized Mossad kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that Benjamin Netanyahu, for example,
Right.
would be
Yeah,
the
it
one
would
calling
be.
shots.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be like green lighted by
But see, and
the
I don't-
Secretary of Defense.
And I don't think George Bush knew anything about 9/11. But it makes me. But I would still wonder why he refused. Why he did not answer. Why he refused to answer
Cheney did.
questions without Cheney. With him and was it Rumsfeld or Cheney that they refused to answer questions without being in the same room and
I know.
off the record. So at the same time, I don't blame people for having the same skepticism when we see what we've seen and the connections we've seen. But yeah, you're right. It would probably be completely compartmentalized. But
I don't think Saudi Arabia was compartmentalized, though. I think Saudi Arabia, there's just evidence floating around everywhere. And I think it's floated around for a long time. Claire was just, talking all about it.
if you listen to the exact words that even Thomas Massey, for one, has said, it really, and even Rand, it's like they're not leaving out much without what the few bits that they're getting into. They're really painting a good picture with it. It gives you almost chills to think, at least the terms they put it into.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just kind of go off on a tangent. It's just that I think that we get so focused as a country, when something hits the mainstream media, like the 28 pages have recently done so. I think we get so focused on the one aspect, for instance, of Saudi Arabia being involved, that we forget like all the kind of nuance and all of the other implications, particularly the U.S. government being involved and in the cover-up of Saudi Arabia being involved. We can't forget all of the other dynamics that are involved here. I think that's the most important point of this report.
And don't let it, it shouldn't be forgotten. This is a democratic so-called Democrat-led White House that is covering up for a Republican-led White House and the actions that took place during that time. So this is way beyond political politics or Republican two-party Democrat politics. It's way beyond that. So we've got some real serious questions to ask, no matter which administration is going to be in office.
Oh yeah, this is not a partisan red blue state kind of a deal.
No,
at all. This is the money people. This is the corporations. Dick Cheney, Bill Kristol, like
this is the fundamental for all wars undeclared that came after that. This is the fundamental for the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq and everything else. This is the fundamental premise for everything that we have done afterwards. If you think about it, this is absolutely fundamental to our foreign policy, our political ideology, and everything else that this government stands for that the people don't.
Well, this was obviously in the inner workings for a while. Again, Joe Biden helped construct the skeleton, if you wish, the first kind of rough draft of the Patriot Act after Oklahoma City. And, we turn around and he's like, I hate the Patriot Act. It's like, well, you're right.
Of course he is. Sir, How I Came to Love the New World Order. That was actually one of his term papers in college, believe it or not, that he actually wrote, which that can mean a lot of different things, but it generally implies a tie to more globalist politics, usually can sometimes lean a little bit nefarious. So who's...
It's a direct, kind of reference to 1984's Winston Smith saying, how I came to love Big Brother is what it's saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of I bowed to the state. Ultimately, yes, the state is good. That's really kind of creepy.
Yeah, it really is. And look who became the second in command now.
That's what people think, though. They think the government, okay. I was having this conversation with some people the other night, and it was just the whole Bernie can fix it. And I was like, but do you really believe those policies? Well, no, not economic. Like, I don't really think his economics work out. Like, they acknowledge that, but I think it's still the best.
It's like Barack 2.0. I mean, that's what a lot of people thought about Barack Obama, too. It's hope and change without the hope and change narrative. I mean, it really is. It's exactly what I hear when you say that. The whole thought of, and then going to the, well, we have to vote Hillary. Like, that thought's nuts to me. We have to vote Hillary. No, you don't. How can anybody check that box? Like, everybody knows that I do not in any way, shape, or form support Donald Trump. But I at least understand why somebody would be curious enough to check that box just to be like, let's see how this blows up. I understand that. I'm going to push the button. I get it. But I don't see how anybody's checking that box for Hillary Clinton. No, you literally have to have been in a coma for like the last 20 years. That's some of the shenanigans that she's been involved with.
You are so right.
And it's just like, one comes, it's a new one every day. What was the story the other day? A mistress of Bill's says that he slept with over 2,000 women. I mean,
yeah, and Bill's going to be in charge of the economy if Hillary wins the election, too. Don't forget that.
I had a friend send me a random text message today that just said, so what do you think the chances are that Bill Clinton and Donald Trump have been in the same room for one of these scandalous affairs? And
hey, it's pretty likely.
I think it is.
Yeah, I saw.
We should not be laughing this hard at the people that we're trying to put in office. This is such a sad commentary.
I think there is a chance that could be true. I would pray it's not, but I think it could be.
Nothing could be stranger. But it could be nothing could be more.
Oh, at this point, that's par for the course. Yeah, that's par for the course. What do you want? You want a show? Look, they're going to give you a show. If that's what you want, you're getting it. I'm just afraid the bigger the fireworks to go ooh and ah, it means the bigger the explosion and the more damage done. That's what I'm scared of.
At this point, the United States,
the ultimate facade.
At this point, the United States will just go poof and go up with a little puff of smoke because we're so far down the rabbit hole. When it decides to go, it's going to go big. That's for sure.
I agree. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and lead us into our break. We're coming up on the second hour with Anti-Media Radio. Hear from us soon.
in all directions. But right now, we're here and we're very, very young. By now, my friend, you might as well be dancing.
And we are back for the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, SM Gibson, joined in the studio tonight with Kevin Knight. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, what's up?
No Shannon tonight.
No.
He's going to be back next week, though, so thumbs up. We're going to have our sound director back in the board, so maybe we'll sound a little bit better and have a little bit more organization to what's going on here. Try to not do so many things at once. But, yeah, I'll tell you what, I want to go ahead and jump in to some of these stories we've got on the front page of antimedia.org right now. The CIA accidentally destroyed its only copy of the Senate torture report. I don't know if you kept up with the story, Kevin. This
Saw
is
a little bit of it, yeah.
This is the most asinine joke. Their story is like the disc that it was on got lost, or they just accidentally destroyed. Whoops, sorry, couldn't find it. Lost the reports. Whoops. This, and they're over oversight, and yet they lost these huge documents. And we're just all supposed to go on with our lives. Like the CIA don't lie to people.
Of course not. I mean, what else kind of stupid excuse could they have given? I mean that's what they have to say about stuff. One copy, it's gone.
That's it. It's over.
Whoops.
There's nothing we can do anymore.
Whoops.
Yeah, and we're just supposed to buy this. Well, it's okay. That's just the way it works. That's just the way the system runs. That's what our tax dollars go for.
God. I thought it was the Onion. I mean, it's literally could be an Onion title. CIA destroys their one copy of torture.
It could. That's why when we made the thumbnail, it's Stan from American Dad. Because to me, it's just like, really? This is like your version of the CIA. This is what you're saying it is. This is a cartoon. This is a show. And we're just like, well, but if we vote for Trump or we vote for Bernie, it's going to fix it. It's all going to be okay.
We're going to restore America, baby.
We are. It's going to be great again.
Donkeys and elephants.
Leave Americans alone again. How about that? That's what I want.
Let us keep our tax dollars.
Leave me alone again. I want to go ahead and bring back into the conversation as well journalist Claire Burnish. Claire.
Yes.
So, I don't know if you've kept up with not only the CIA report, which we've got on the front page, but we've got, excuse me, the story of The Future Is Now. Law firm hires first artificially intelligent attorney. Okay, so this is where I want to go with this story. I'm going to go a little off from what the story is supposed to be about, was originally about. It's the basic overview. If you haven't read it yet, they're hiring Ross, the robot from IBM, to, he's going to be the world's first AI lawyer. And it's supposedly bankruptcy. That's how it comes across. Oh, it's just me working on bankruptcies. No big deal. No harm, no foul. So, then you look into Baker and Hostetler. That's the law firm that has hired Ross, the robot. I somehow ended up, one thing I guess, I was like, I don't know how I got curious, but I ended up on their website. Very proud of what they do, mind you. They're not ashamed. There is no shame in their game. And this is, and I quote what it says directly off of their own website, bakerlaw.com. Baker Hostetler's white-collar defense and corporate investigations team is among the nation's leaders in all aspects of corporate criminal defense and enforcement-related litigation. Blah, 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 blah. Our lawyers are dedicated to protecting businesses. Okay, and so it's like, oh, that's, interesting. And then it goes on to say that one of the firm's three original partners was a man by the name of Newton D. Baker, which, again, bakerlaw.com, served as a Secretary of War for Woodrow Wilson during World War I. But the firm also promises to assist clients with all aspects of internal investigations, including government inquiries and negotiations with the government. Regularly represent clients in grand jury investigations and defend businesses and individuals in white-collar criminal investigations. Okay, and it goes on and on and on and on. Point is, these guys are in deep with big money people. There's a lot of money behind them. So whoever wants to test out the world's first robot, it's not just some random law firm, in Topeka, Kansas. It's like, this will be cute. Let's see how this works. There's people with a lot of money that, are invested. And I guess, of course, that's who's going to be able to afford this as well. But this is where we're going now. We're seeing a $15 minimum wage. I just don't understand it. Like, I saw this tweet going around earlier today, and it was a picture that this guy that worked at McDonald's, and it was the cheese was on top of the hamburger, and he said this is how it's going to be until we get $15. And we had 2,000 shares or something. And it's like, really? Like right now, the federal minimum wage is what, $7.25? And you want $15? Like for $7.75, I can just move that cheese and stick it on there. You know? That's cool, dude. Like it ain't that serious. You just give it to me like that. You keep getting what you get. I just put it on there.
I'll bring my own cheese.
Yeah, no worries. Not that worked up about it. Do you know what a $15 minimum wage would do to this country? And listen, I want to go ahead and throw this out there. I cannot tell you enough that people don't have enough money to live on right now. I understand this. And yes, the dollar should be adjusted to how we are currently living, which is above $7.25 an hour. But until you put in place a system that reins in the inflation, until that happens, you're just drunkenly throwing your money away. So you have to have something to fix it. You have to stop. You're on a boat. It's flooding. You're sinking. Plug the hole before you start pouring the water out. But they're just pouring the water out and not plugging the hole. And eventually you're going to drown. And that's what we're seeing. Anyways, I digress. So other top stories for the day. Kevin, what I know when you were scrolling through earlier, you had mentioned a couple of things that grabbed your attention. What were some of the stories you were bringing up?
Shoot, just the 28 pages, the precursor to, was enough to get my blood boiling. But if we've got to hit on something else, you mentioned Iran ordered Hezbollah to target Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. How interesting is that?
Saudi Arabia is supposed to be like the U.S.'s. I know.
We spent the whole first hour on that, and I don't want to go back down that path, but yeah.
Who are we seeing fighting over in Yemen now? We've seen Iran and Hezbollah. It seems like no matter which way we're going now, it seems like we're fixing to be heading into another. It seems like we've not had a big push for another war to really break out soon. But are we heading to Saudi Arabia? If Saudi Arabia, does Hezbollah really kind of threaten Saudi Arabia to any kind of extent? Are we going to see the dollar actually? Does Saudi Arabia even have that kind of control over the dollar anymore? Or even the petrodollar? The oil prices have been down for a long time. We've got a new administration going in. They always seem to kind of click up around this time. Seems to be when a new administration goes in. Will we see that again with Saudi Arabia? Or Saudi Arabia just kind of flick their wrist and kind of...
That's a good question. I don't know. I think we're going to have to see how they transition if they do get away from oil. If any of this 9/11 business hurts them at all, we'll see. Random theory. The Saudi royals right now are going through some very internal family civil war, I guess. A lot of infighting. His families do, but they have bazillionaires and,
There's a lot of members.
Right. Tons of them. If this whole 9/11 business isn't one side trying to sink the other side and take control, I have no idea. Just a random thought.
Well, this would be, what a better way. This is 15 years ago this happened. You would imagine that as tides raise,
get rid of the
fall,
old guard. That's what they want to do. They want to get rid of the
it.
old guard. So it makes kind of sense.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
But, yeah, that is just throwing up, complete speculation. It's an interesting theory. We'd have to, I'll have to get on that tomorrow. I'd like to do some research. I don't know, though, if we're going to see them have. I just don't know if we're going to have the. They're going to have the influence on the economy anymore, like you were saying. I don't know if they're even. They're still a player. They're still going
to be a player for quite a while.
They're still a player, and I don't think anything's, changing. And something we didn't even mention was the FBI's 80,000 documents connected to the Saudis. Let's see. Did we get Claire on? I think we're having technical difficulties here, but
Claire will be back in just a minute. But yeah, it's the the Bush. It's funny. Who do we hear right after the 9/11 attacks? What's the when everybody was being grounded, all the planes were being grounded. Who do we hear was flown out of the country right away?
The Bin Ladens.
You're right. The Saudi family.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah.
So the story goes.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way it goes, at least. And who knows? I know where I was at. Do you know where you were at?
I do know where I was at.
I mean, it's a whole group of people that are in office now that seem to be, who's be surprised that, and I'm not surprised that we aren't. Do you think that, let me ask you, do you think that Barack Obama really, as much as establishment as he is, do you think he would really like to know what happened on 9/11?
I think Barack Obama already knows what happened on 9/11.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Do you think, if so, that he would like to see the...
There's too much on the surface now.
Is he so much a part of the establishment? I mean, do you think... For one, do you think that he will veto this ability for the 9/11 families?
Yes, but I think it'll be for show.
For show.
I do think he will veto it, but I think they'll just throw it back around and they'll get it through anyway.
And the states will do it.
Uh-huh.
Do you think the states will actually do it? I mean, the Congress and
they're acting like they're going to. We'll see. They're talking a big game right now.
I hope they do. I certainly hope they do.
But me and you both. I hope they allow that.
Would they have done this to Obama? Would they have done this 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
No, I don't know where this is all coming from.
I mean, is it a coincidence that Obama's almost out of office that at least they don't really, they're not afraid of his veto? I mean, of other ways, surely they would have gone around this if he'd have vetoed this. They would have found another way to get it through. But of course, maybe, I don't see how this is something that at least the White House administration ever will want to go through. And so that's probably why we would see a veto no matter who was in office.
I think so. Well, I could see Trump doing it.
Could you?
I could. Just to do it. Just because he's, that guy. Well, I did it. I'm that guy. I think Clinton would have done it.
It would implicate so
Clinton
many other people.
Clinton would have done it.
It would implicate so many other people. There'd be so many more questions.
Oh, I don't know how it couldn't. I don't know how the Bushes don't immediately. And when I say the Bushes, I want it to be clear that I don't mean, George W. and Daddy H.W. and Jeb were in a room. I mean the entire administration involved and, everybody. In Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, I think H.W. I think Jeb was on something. I used to not believe any of that Bill Kristol conservative business.
Neocon deal.
Yeah, I used to not buy into these neocons are running the world and all that, but there is the more evidence I see, they've got influence on something. There's no question. They've got massive influence on something. Because their policies that they're coming up with are getting carried out. That's not coincidence.
No, it's hard not to. I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but it's. I think a lot of people have influence in a lot of places we probably would not recognize, and I think that's probably what. I think a lot of us would be surrounded and completely surprised by who really pulls the strings. But how many people were in disagreement? Who was it? FDR said nothing happens in politics by coincidence, or no coincidence happens in politics. I think it's been reiterated by others at times. It makes a lot of sense. I think you kind of alluded to earlier Project to a New American Century.
Yeah.
With a course called for the
Rubio.
But we're seeing that. We're going to continue to see that. Definitely. Project for a new American century type goals carried out at least. And if it didn't line up specifically with those goals, there'll be a lot of people
Hillary
who
will
are
do it.
still happy.
Hillary's right in on that.
Oh, she is, definitely.
No question.
Well, that's probably if that's not the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower mentioned, at least, if not on steroids. I mean, is this it? I mean, this is really seems to be kind of the epitome. Is this what he was talking about? Did he even envision it being this, similarly calculated, this potentially devastating to not just one enemy, but seemingly a lot of other countries and a lot of other cultures worldwide? I mean, the U.S., the government at least, it's not like we keep to ourselves anymore, or that we take out and go to war with one country. Where all do we have black sites and groups in armed conflict going on countries around the world that none of us could ever imagine?
You have private contractors.
Oh, right, that are acting on behalf of the U.S. government.
And they're hired, and it never goes back to anybody. I know that we've seen that in Ukraine for 100%. There were videos of Americans on the ground there. Way to go, Kevin. You threw me off.
Try my best, man.
You did a good job of it. But I just don't see how... Okay, they're not going to... Here's one reason Bernie would never be president. There's a million reasons that Bernie will never be president. But is because I think if he got in... First off, he wouldn't stop any wars. That's a joke. We've got Nobel Peace Prize winner... Oh, yeah, by the way, I don't know if anybody's heard this yet, but it is official. Our Nobel Peace Prize winning president, Barack Obama, has now been at war longer than any other U.S. president in history.
Let that be one for the history books.
That's it. Of the 43 before him.
Carry that with you always, listeners. The next time somebody reminds you that Barack Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize or that he was
I don't think anybody will ever again.
No, but you will hear that he was a peace candidate by some delusional person that doesn't remember exactly all the wars that he started or Hillary on behalf of his administration.
I know it's a PR stunt. I know it's a show. I get it. I'm not going to tell you I believe different. But I really don't think he was as gung-ho as some people would have been. Think about how much worse it could have been if he would have just, come out there Dick Cheney guns a-blazing style.
Really
you got the Secretary of State. Yeah, just a huge war. If you had like a Lindsey Graham just every 5 seconds been like, look what they're doing, look what they're doing, look what they're doing. We got to bomb. He didn't do that. He didn't come out there.
He probably had a little bit of pressure on him, too, to be, I won't say he probably did. He had a lot of pressure on him not to be weak on so-called terrorism.
But you have to remember, again, PR job, is that just his role to play, or is that man?
Well, he played it either way.
Either way, he played it. Correct. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. And, that's what's in front of us. But so I don't think they would ever let Bernie in there for that reason alone.
You think he would even get the vote of the Electoral College? Because he's been in office for 20 years. Has he really developed a lot of friends, at least that, I say friends, you know how politics these are these days.
He's more connected than we're led to believe. You don't stay in Washington that long. But I don't think he's...
Ron,
I don't believe he's right in the middle of the, Democratic National Committee either. I think he's an outsider to a degree, as you can be. But I don't think he's a total outsider. I think even if he had convictions, I think he'd get pushed around, and the policies that he was against would be implemented anyways, would be pointless.
Well, yeah, and I think he probably would be willing to concede some. I think he would probably play.
Oh yeah, I think he'd be a pushover for a lot of stuff.
Well, he's in the government. There you go.
I think it'd be similar to Obama. Look, if you really look at Obama's presidency, he got his health care bill through. That's it. That's it. What did he do? What has he done? If he closes Guantanamo, that'll be the second huge...
Doesn't look like he's going to be able to either.
I don't think he will. I think he's trying, but I don't think he will.
Well, he may want to, but...
He's at least putting on a show.
He doesn't have the money to even do so.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen. How messed up would it be if
Trump did it.
Yeah. But that would be so similar to Reagan and the Iran hostages and Jimmy Carter. It's like the whole world sees it as Reagan's the president, those hostages are free now. But it's like, no, Jimmy Carter didn't have nothing to do with that. He didn't, it's like people think that.
Didn't set the stage.
Yeah, that he wasn't negotiating behind the scenes trying to make that happen. He was the president of the United States. And that being said, I'm not defending any politicians. Oh, gross. I just offended a politician. You're allowed to punch me.
No, I won't understand.
No, I don't understand.
I don't think you were necessarily defending a politician as much as you were.
I don't know what I was saying. We're just going to ignore that I was saying anything.
Next.
Yeah. Did you see the story of the woman? Woman's obituary says she died.
I saw that.
So she wouldn't have to vote for Donald Trump. It's, kind of a sad story that 68 years old Virginia woman passed away from cancer. The headline of her obituary read, "Faced with the prospect of voting for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, Marianne Noland of Richmond chose instead to pass into the eternal love of God." Sorry, but that's comic gold. You die and your first words of your peace out is, nope, I'd rather be gone than vote for those two idiots. And that's sad. Like that's like legitimately funny that we're not in this world where it's offensive. That it should kind of be offensive. We should live in a world where we have people of integrity, as our quote unquote representatives. It should kind of, it's not, there's nothing offensive. That's the funniest thing in the world. That's hilarious. Hats off to Mary Ann Nolan from Richmond, Virginia, and to her family. Our thoughts go out with y'all for losing Miss Nolan.
Took it in good stride, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, with good humor. So, man, I don't know. I want to go back a little bit to the Bernie getting screwed thing. I know. But
no, yeah, I mean, it legitimately needs to be discussed. I mean,
is it going to expose the bigger problem? Is Bernie Sanders actually, is there going to be a huge positive come out of him running? And so far, I think Bernie Sanders running has been nothing but a giant positive, because we have seen nothing but how the elections in this country are run and how rigged they can be. That woman there is no craps given. They could care less. They're stealing the election.
Hey, old Mary, baby.
Yeah, they don't care. And they did it to Ron Paul. But
what is anybody going to do?
But Ron Paul was so buried. That's the thing. They did it to Ron Paul, but Ron Paul was so buried down. It's like, whatever. He wasn't going to win anyway.
Right.
But we're seeing a guy that's like right there with her that I don't think was supposed to happen. I think he ran to give her a little bit to go back and forth and make her look good.
He was probably what Ron Paul was supposed to be. He's what, I mean, I think a lot of libertarians, at least libertarian types, the people that saw Ron Paul as the quote-unquote savior,
Yeah. People
Bernie is there now. Bernie's reached that plateau, and he's getting screwed by Hillary. And I think a lot of people can sympathize with that, even if you're not a Bernie supporter.
Hillary Clinton, I can't say this enough, and I don't know how this keeps getting misconstrued, because I don't think I've said anything more clear. Hillary Clinton will not be the president of the United States. It's not going to happen.
I don't think so either. I hope we're right.
Not going to happen.
The debates will make the difference. Yeah, I'm telling you.
The debates? Do you understand?
Dude, Donald Trump's going to bury
the
Hillary
pay-per-view level?
Oh, yes, dude. This will be bigger than UFC, than any kind of
UFC. This will be bigger than the Super Bowl.
No, more than the Super Bowl, more than UFC, more than what's his name coming out of retirement to fight. It doesn't matter, man. This is gonna be it.
Yeah, because either people want to watch him get destroyed, and who doesn't want to watch her get destroyed? Who doesn't want to watch her get destroyed? We can sit here and go, Donald Trump's this, Donald Trump's that, but you better believe I want a front row seat to watch him destroy her.
And who guessed it? Bernie and Trump supporters will be on the same side.
Oh, yeah. And, man, did you see the way he is kissing up to them? He was on Twitter earlier. Poor Bernie.
Oh, of course. Poor Bernie's getting screwed.
Let's see if we've had any updates since the what was the tweet we started the show with? He's ready to get it on.
Let's get it on.
He's ready to go to war with Hillary. What a joke. Oh, yeah, and he started talking about being an enabler with Bill.
Yeah, he said that repeated in an interview or on stage somewhere, didn't he? I actually saw a clip of that earlier. I saw a clip of him and Megyn Kelly and their whole interview.
Yeah, man, I think the establishment, I think they're buddy now.
It seems
they're playing each other.
Oh yeah,
that's probably more.
What it is.
Yeah, they probably still don't trust each other.
No, I'm sure not.
Then you still got idiot Mitt Romney acting like he's going to do something.
What a joke.
Is he still carrying on with that nonsense? What was he saying? He was going to get John Kasich and somebody else to run?
Oh, is that what he said? Like they're all of a sudden...
Oh, yeah, something stupid. Third party, too.
Oh, that's what a crock.
Yeah.
Third party. I don't think anybody realizes what third party actually means.
Yeah. There is no third party.
Y'all realize what, like it's not as simple even as just going and like, hey... I'll run third party tomorrow, and everybody suddenly just shows up.
Yeah, there is no third party in this country.
There's not whatsoever.
You can sit here and talk libertarian all you want. They have a platform kind of like to have a voice, but when it comes to actually getting elected to stuff, no. Not even close.
No.
You get two choices. You get you get exit 32A or you get exit 32B. Either way, you're getting off at the same place.
Democrats.
Yeah, take whichever ramp you want, but you're going to the same road.
Same honey spot, baby.
So, I don't know, man. Maybe Bernie can expose some of this. At least his running and at least his candidacy can bring this to light.
Well, a lot of Ron Paul people were screwed, and they just went...
that fell on deaf ears, though, and these
it did, but a lot of people kind of went even further, like even distrusted the government even more. The sad fact is people will, witness the system screwing Bernie, and yet next year, who will they vote for?
That's a
next
great
election.
question.
Who are they going to latch on to?
I'm interested because there's so many more Bernie people than there ever were thought of being Ron Paul.
Oh, I agree. There's tons
so
of
many of them.
Tons of them.
And I know there's so many that are just jumping on the bandwagon because it's the cool, hip thing to do. Oh, who are sporting? What's MTV tell me to do? Killer Mike said, what?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
No, but what
Killer Mike's cool. I'll vote for Bernie now.
Trump gets the nomination, and what are we going to see? Are we going to see people, once it's down to Hillary and Trump versus Trump, are we going to see everybody's jump suddenly to Hillary just because they can't stand Trump?
Nope, they're going to Trump. That's what I predict. That's what I predict. They're all going to Trump. He's gonna win everybody over. Nobody likes that woman. Okay? What if she's okay? You know how they attack. And let's just not pretend that the Clintons don't do this because we all know what they do.
Oh, they do.
Melania Trump, posing nude. Guess what? You can never, ever, 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 ever mention Melania Trump did anything ever. Because guess what? Melania Trump hasn't been accused of rape. And her husband has.
Right, good point. Mention Trump's wife.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You can't
mention a spouse.
Say it one time. And guess what? Open that door.
He's probably hoping because
I bet he's begging. I bet he's begging for him to mention
the rest of the discussion will be on that.
Oh yeah, Because as soon as they attack her, you mentioned her, I mentioned you. Oh, it would be nasty. I could see him being like, I was in the room. I saw it happen. And you know what? I wasn't married at the time. And I wasn't doing anything wrong. But he was married at the time. I was enjoying myself. And I'm an honest man. And I'm telling you I did it. Nobody's going to care. And they're all going to look at Bill Clinton and go, what a disgusting pervert. You rapist. Which I never thought we'd get to that day.
Oh, yeah.
Never thought we would.
No, I don't think anybody else. If it wouldn't be Donald Trump, no, but we never would.
Yeah, never thought we'd see that.
It takes Donald Trump to be the one to call
If he
up.
takes down the Bushes and the Clintons, whew.
One for the history books, huh?
Okay.
We say that, and he'll be elected the third time. He'll be the third time.
I get like chills just thinking about it. Like I want to see like I said, I want to see the fireworks, but I don't want to be here when the explosion happens. I want to be a distance and enjoy them. I don't want to be like right where it explodes.
Reading about it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. We're screwed. I still am curious about the vice president deal with Trump, and I tell you why. Because if this Rubio business, I'm telling you, if the Rubio Kasich's never going to happen. I don't know. I thought it for a while. I'm not going to deny that I did. I said 30% Kasich. I just don't believe it now. I think, but you never know. I think Kasich's just too much of a goon now. He's just so cartoonish and
he made a fool out of himself. To me, a long time ago, with that whole repeated, "I'm the only one that can beat Hillary, and I'll beat her in my state."
And I don't think Joe Biden had completely. I don't think he had become a complete cartoon character until after he was. Like, I think it was 100% out of the closet cartoon. After he became vice president.
Oh, certainly, yeah. That's when he really...
It was afterwards, yeah.
He really tried to whisper into the ears of more
And then
wives.
the second election, we all knew what it was. But the first one, it wasn't so clear. Because we had experienced Joe Biden. That's been around forever, and that's how he was presented, as this elderly statesman of the party. Right. Yeah. And then, he's a buffoon.
Macking on people's girls.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's creepy.
Yeah, he's lucky he hadn't really succumbed to a black eye.
So that would be, but we know that about Kasich now. That's what I think. We know that about Kasich now, and you can't run a guy and ever take him on the campaign show where there's tacos or whatever it was, pancakes. Was it waffles, pancakes? What was it John Kasich was eating?
It was pancakes, wasn't it? No, pizza, was it?
I don't know.
With a fork.
I'm supposed to know this.
Yeah, it was pizza with a fork, right?
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend and confirm.
You threw me off for a second. It's pizza with a fork. Yeah,
maybe
it was. But he threw me off with the pancake or the waffles, which I could go for right now.
Yeah, wouldn't be too bad. So, what we need to understand, I think, most of us are starting to. I hope. I don't know. That conversation with those people the other day got me kind of, these people. I'm just stay in my shell. But get to the point where, look, we see these politicians as what they are. They're opportunists. They have a God complex. They care about themselves, what they can achieve, and their own vainglorious endeavors. That's their lives. They're about serving themselves. And even if there was somebody that was a good man, I think a few slip through. I do. But we're talking about, that's everything. That's called statistics. You get a few good in everything. You're not always going to have all one thing or all another. But for the most part, it is rotten through and through. They've come in good, maybe some of them. I'm saying they don't, but guess what? When the handshakes come over and there's some Harriet Tubmans are coming your way, it's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So they flip. Once you get bought out, guess what? You're doing what they say from there on out, and then just goes on and on and on. The next thing you know, you're Lindsey Graham screaming about getting drunk in a debate about war, about what do we think about, what do we believe about gay marriage? Senator Graham, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens if we allow radical Islam in this country. Nobody's going to be getting married. Right. Nobody.
Just drop it back home, baby.
We got to get over there, and we got to do something about that.
Bomb Iran.
We have to. Nobody's going to get married. So it don't matter. It don't matter if there's gay marriages or straight marriages nope, just got killed in Muslims.
Kill Iran now.
Kill Iran. Vote Lindsey Graham. 2016. Oh, yeah, that guy, he's turned into a full-fledged comic book character, too. The whole thing is just turning into this one huge drunken reality show. Is it by design, or are these people just that stupid? I think they're just that stupid.
That probably is. Are they really representative of the public, though?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I think so. I do think so. I hate to say it.
Are we just that manipulated that easily?
I think it's a combination. I do. I think there's a ton of good people in the world that are voting for the dumbest, worst, most scumbag people, and they have just been completely host. Okay, Ted Cruz, for example.
The Zodiac Killer.
What? Do it. But Ted Cruz, look, we ain't talking about going back here. We're talking about, other stable people. But I guarantee you there were people that supported Ted Cruz that were some fine, wonderful people. That there was no problems with that person whatsoever. And they were probably a smart person. And they just bought it. But guess what? Nope. That man, don't trust him. You know where his wife worked. Supposed to know that a long time ago before you vote for him. But as future President Daddy says, he will put that Bible way high up in there and put it down, goes the line.
He'll make sure that you understand that Sunday is Sunday.
Gosh, we're so screwed. It's so funny now. Ha ha ha. Donald Trump's so funny. And as soon as he gets his hand off the Bible, it's like, no! I'm sorry. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
It really wasn't.
We don't know. I think it is going to be really funny, though. I think
it's going to be entertainment. Can you imagine what the late night talk show guys are going to have? It's going to be a field day.
What do they need to? Do they need to even do that?
No, I mean,
there's no comedian that's going to be able to top that show.
You talking about just the Donald Trump show?
Yeah.
They just show highlights of this is what Donald Trump said today.
That's what it is now. That's what the news is. That's what the literal news is now. Our news is this is what Donald Trump tweeted. And then somebody about somebody. And then now Donald Trump's going to call us and talk about this tweet.
God, right. You're right. He sets it up. I'm telling you, that man is genius. He is a master.
When it comes to playing people, he knows how to play it.
He's got it.
It's scary. He seems to have mastered it. Because that's the world we're living in. He's just generating his own publicity, and people are falling for it. How many times have we said, yes, you have heard something you agree with come out of Donald Trump's mouth? 100%.
Oh, yeah. Broken clocks right twice every day.
That's it, because he has said everything. He said it all.
Taking every position.
He's taken every position. At some point, he said something. Yeah, he said something you agree with. I know it. Don't be fooled by that. He says lots of stuff. People say lots of things. Look at Obama. Look at hope and change. People are so terrified right now. And I think I'm falling trapped to this a little bit, and I know what I know. And I still, in my head, I'm like, oh, Obama's a scumbag, screw him. But, even looking at Trump and Hillary, even part of me is just like, maybe he wasn't so bad. What were we complaining about? Really? Because this is what's coming down here. It's I know he bombed 8 countries, and he's been at, the longest amount of war ever for any president. But have you seen these two lunatics?
Look at the possibilities.
Right. We're still here. Now, our health care, that's been ruined. And there's a lot of really bad policies been put in place. But Big deal. Who cares? No big deal because I'll take it over what's about to come. Trump or Hillary. Oh. I think that's how people look. I think
most people seem to be doing just that.
It appears to be
Trump or Hillary.
I don't get it. Trump or Hillary. That's what you're forced with in this country. Like, eat it. Eat it!
Because we know if you don't vote, you don't have a right to gripe, right? You don't have a right to breathe, boy.
No.
You didn't vote.
The Apprentice or I don't know. Did Hillary Clinton have a TV show? She should have.
Did she?
She should have. I've always wanted Bill to have a TV show. Look, we got 14 minutes here left on this 2-hour program of anti-media radio, which you can, by the way, pick up and listen to live every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. We're now a live 2-hour broadcast at www.ucy.tv/TAMR and also at www.theantimedia.org/radio. And you can catch all of our replays on YouTube by searching Anti-Media Radio. Nick Burnaby is also on Monday and Wednesdays, same exact time. No, they're an hour later, 11 p.m.
Good catch.
Yeah, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and Levon is on Friday, same exact time. All right, ran through all that. So,
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, really? Do we have to? No!
Oh, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, man. Speaking of, the Clintons, man, they're not going to get away from Saudi Arabia either. The Clinton Foundation's up in that. There's no telling what's going to come out with the Clinton Foundation before this is over with. There's no telling. Can you,
it's coming, man, I'm telling you.
Bill's old lady, the Energizer lady, the kind of semi-attractive girlfriend he supposedly had.
Not Jennifer Flowers.
No, the newer one. She looks like she's like some rich, well-to-do woman. Either way.
This is not the one that recounted how Bill did coke off her kitchen table? You see that one? It was an interesting interview.
There's another one, too, with the lady saying he had sex with 2,000 women.
I missed that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a new one.
Oh,
my gosh. There's no telling what's true with that man. There's no telling. I think that'll come out. He may die, but he's going to end up having the worst legacy ever. I never thought that would happen.
Or Hillary's going to leave him and he'll just be a Mac.
She's destroying it. If she wasn't doing this, he would have gone off into the sunset. So. None of these questions would have ever been raised. Nobody would have ever thought about this. And he would have just been old Bill Clinton. The economy sure did good for 8 years.
Right. Thanks for having
in the 90s.
Right. That's what they knew him for, and that's it.
That's it. Arkansas basketball won a national title. Sorry about Oklahoma City, everybody, but we got through it.
Right.
Bill Clinton. That's how we would be remembered.
Don't you miss him?
Yeah. And you had Bush coming up afterwards, so he just looked really good. He was stuck right in between the bushes. How can you not look great stuck in between the bushes?
He does look good in that respect.
And this woman, who he's married to, is going to destroy that villainous man's false legacy. If I was him, I would be angry. For me, it's pretty funny.
She's been waiting for payback, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to... Whatever. It's funny. They get what they got coming to them. There's so many stories that are going to come out, and it's going to be great.
It's not over, dude, and we'll hear it from Donald Trump. Trump,
I think so, too.
Can you imagine the stories that Donald Trump just may even just slightly hint about? All it takes is a hint for the media to run with it. Can he even speculate?
And he gets away with a lot more on Twitter.
Oh, he does.
Because of the retweets.
A ton of shit.
He gets away with a lot.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't
murder
even
on Twitter.
Which is one of the things that Megyn Kelly called him out about. And he said, hey, You know,
What was
I
that?
don't send all that stuff out. My followers do.
That's nonsense.
Oh, I know.
That don't
it
even
is.
make kind of sense.
Oh, no. Well, he's got a lot of followers.
Did you see his tweet about Obama? Hold on. Make sense of this to me.
Which one?
Hold on. I've got to find it. This is relevant to life. Okay. The beginning of this is a quote by Barack Obama. He was subtly, not so subtly, but not by name, talking about Donald Trump. He's speaking at whatever college.
That college, right?
Yeah. What, Rutgers or whatever. Yeah. In politics and in life, ignorance is not a virtue. End of quote. Donald Trump then follows that by tweeting, "This is a primary reason that President Obama is the worst president in U.S. history." Let me again read to you what Obama said. And remember, Donald Trump says this is a primary reason that President Obama is the worst president in U.S. history. In politics and in life, ignorance is not a virtue. Ignorance is not a virtue. Is the core of the message of Barack Obama in that one quote. Okay? That was Donald Trump's snippet that he pulled out of it to critique. And Donald Trump says that makes Barack Obama the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
Come on, Donald.
What does that even mean?
Could pick a little better one there.
But,
one that we all
what
can
is
relate
it? Like,
to.
I'm serious. I am perplexed.
I agree.
We could sit here and do a 2-hour show, and it may be hilarious, but what does that mean?
What time was it he tweeted that?
Let's see. I'm going to...
The reason I say because he was telling Megyn Kelly that
8:16. This was the 16th. Yeah, so yesterday it says 8:08. So
he was telling Megyn Kelly that it's him after 8:30, usually 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Oh, that I guarantee
that somebody him. That sounds like him, but that is. I mean, you called it. What does it
even mean? It doesn't matter who typed it. It's irrelevant.
That's what I mean. I would like to say that at least he would have a little more common sense, but it does not. I mean, somebody should at least call him on asking what was he thinking? What exactly does this mean?
Ignorance is not a virtue. It's the primary. That's the primary reason that Barack Obama is the worst president in U.S. history. What Donald Trump is saying, I believe here, I think very clearly that ignorance is a virtue. I think
That's what he's saying.
It's meant that way.
That's...
And what he's meaning by this is he is really trying to tap in to an inner part of humans. And they're going to say, everybody can vote. I'm telling you, it's an internal thing. He's pressing buttons on people. He's controlling the crowd like a lion tamer right now. That's what I believe. He is controlling the masses, and they're just following along with it. He can do whatever he wants. He's just taking people out. It's scary.
Yeah, well,
it really is
what I was
scary.
thinking when you were telling me that.
Like, we sit here and we joke about it, but it's terrifying. Think about it. I mean,
you may not realize it until you realize that you bought into something he might have said.
And here's the deal. If we want to have a conversation, is Donald Trump the inside establishment guy? Is he all completely rogue? It doesn't matter, because whatever just happened. People still went. The Clintons, Bushes, all those people went away. The establishment man, Marco Rubio, got a fool. Oh, man.
He was there for a minute and gone the next.
That was like Tyson when Tyson was Tyson before he won his belt and was just beating people in 16 seconds. That's what happened to Marco Rubio.
Gone.
Ted Cruz gone. I mean, so many of them. But Rubio, Rubio got it bad.
Ted Cruz.
Jeb Bush got it bad.
All of them got it bad.
But, yeah, look. Say if it's show or not show. That's the whole point. Show or not show, it still happened. And it's like this is like it's scary to think all this stuff that's been built up. Some people see this as a positive, that the walls are breaking down finally. The walls are breaking down finally. And I think that's how Trump has gotten his support. But you have to really be putting your faith in Donald Trump as a person, whether you are right or not. Whether Donald Trump is this rogue agent that's just bulldozing through the establishment. Maybe he is. But guess what? I'm not going to put my faith in Donald Trump. I can tell you that right now. I don't trust the word that comes out of his mouth. And if you think that anything he's saying is to do anything other than to pander for your vote, I don't even know what to say. Like, how do you think that he's sincere?
I'd much rather be surprised. Because I sure don't count on it.
Oh, I don't know either. But I agree. You know, anything's possible. And I could be 1,000% wrong, and I would
think
be...
he'd get here, did we?
I'm not that... I don't know. I'm not that shocked.
I think we shouldn't be shocked. Even if we are, we shouldn't be.
I used to say a few years ago, and it was, of course, half jokingly. But I was... Like, I used to tell people, I was like, if he ever runs, he'll win. I really believed it. Because I believed that Americans are so entrenched in celebrity culture, and I felt like his attitude, the way he handled the birth certificate garbage, I think it was pretty obvious he'd become president then. And the reason why is because it didn't matter what was coming out of his mouth, what he said, what he did. It didn't matter. Like, none of it. It didn't. There was no blemish on him.
No, you're right.
Think about the stuff that people say, and they just...
It only gave other people more clout.
If anything, people got behind him.
Mm-hmm.
That was... I'm going to tell you now. That was strategy. He was setting the stage for what he's doing right now.
I think he was testing the waters.
Mm-hmm. As far as getting people behind him. It's exactly what I think. He was getting the people behind him. We talk about it all the time. Ron Jones and Alex Jones, who, by the way, I saw some rant by Alex Jones the other day. I don't even know what to say. Not good. Not good.
Craziness.
It was a bit outrageous.
Probably so. It's Alex Jones.
It was a bit loud.
Out there. I mean, it wasn't like lizards.
It wasn't lizards.
That level of loud.
It wasn't lizards. I don't know what he was even talking about, but it was just... I enjoy the screaming. I'll be the first person to tell you. Give me some truths and yell about it. That's great. But when you start going on some tirade about some complete nonsense, I can't. It didn't just become yelling.
He's a nut, isn't he?
Yeah, it's all right.
He's
woke a lot.
He's
woke a lot of people up.
He has.
And you can say what you want, and he's woke a lot of people up. You know, hate him or love him, it is what it is.
Good point.
So, you know, everybody serves their purpose. So I'm not here to judge. You know, that's it. The end. Speaking of the end, we have about a few seconds here left on the show. Kevin, any final thoughts before we end the program here tonight?
None, man. We'll be back with you. And hey, Claire, if you're still listening, glad to be back, man.
For Anti-Media Radio, this is SM Gibson. Join us on Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Anti